Alright, people, so midweek report time. Now, few things we need to talk about in here. Some news that's broke over the last few days. Bob Arum actually gave an interview with Pro Box TV where he talked about, obviously, this main topic was Loma versus Haney, which we will preview. I will try and get a prediction video out for that. One of the reasons why I haven't been able to get the prediction out video, like when it's a big fight, I like doing a prediction video early in the week. But the main reason, right, I spent the last 2 days watching some of Haney's fights and watching some of Loma's fights, and I'll be honest, right, I'm stumped. Right, I might just go straight into. We preview the Loma fight first. I was going to do that later, but we may as well just do it now. I'm stumped. I'm not gonna lie, I'm stumped. It's a great fight. Don't get me wrong. It's a brilliant fight. There's that thing in the back of my mind saying, Father Time, he's unbeaten. He's caught up to everyone, and there's that part of me feeling like he's going to catch up to Loma. Having said that, I said it. Like, I pretty much wrote Loma off, not completely, but I was pretty sure he was at the end of his game after he lost to Teofimo Lopez. And to be honest with you, in 2021, I was very impressed with Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, Yurita Nakatani is on this card. I didn't think Loma would lose to him when they fought back in 21, but I did think that Loma would have a hard time with him. He didn't. Again, Richard Comey, I thought that Loma would have a hard time with him. He didn't. You know, obviously in his last fight against, I think it was Ortiz, forget what his name was, something Ortiz. Yeah, he didn't look particularly amazing there, but Loma is someone who you would write off at your peril, and he is a tremendous fighter. I mean, Loma is fantastic. Having said that, Devin Haney is too. You know, a lot of people are making comparisons with the Teofimo Lopez fight. I feel like I'm doing the prediction video here. No, that's going to come. But a lot of people are making comparisons of Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, and they're saying, well, Teofimo Lopez was able to keep Loma at bay early on in their fight for the first 6-7 rounds. So Devin Haney is actually a better long-range boxer, and he is, than Teofimo Lopez. Surely he can do it. My counter-argument is that Teofimo Lopez was really able to put Lomachenko in his box with his punching power. Devin Haney hasn't got a fifth of Teofimo Lopez's punching power. So I don't know, will he be able to put Lomachenko in his box the way Teofimo Lopez did. Devin Haney at the weight, I mean, lads, I've seen bad fighters at a weigh-in. I've seen fighters look bad at a weigh-in. But I was worried. Like, I remember seeing him against Kambosos in the rematch, and I was like, get that guy some water now, because he looked horrendous. I mean, I hope for his sake it's his last fight at 135, win or lose, because he looked horrendous, like really bad. Honestly, he looked awful on the scale against Kambosos in the rematch. Didn't look amazing in the first fight, but he really didn't look good in the second fight. On the scale anyway, in the ring, different story. So, for his own sake, I hope he moves up. Devin Haney is a tremendous fighter. I really am. I'm struggling, lads. You know, part of me is saying Haney, and I've been saying that from the largest for the longest part. But then I look at Loma and I think, oh, that footwork, that movement, the way he reads his opponents, the way he just dials in. And, you know, Haney, he's only fought I think his last southpaw he fought was Jojo. He looked alright in that fight. Jojo Diaz isn't that anything special, but Jojo Diaz was still able to land consistent enough on Devin Haney. And Jojo and Loma, I mean, you can't even compare them. It's night and day. So, looking forward to this fight. I really, really am. Nico Ali Walsh, Muhammad Ali's grandson, is on the undercard. Never really impressed me. Rematch between Adam Lopez and Oscar Valdez. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? I could be wrong with this. Their first fight, wasn't Valdez meant to fight someone else? Now, God, I can't remember who it was, but didn't he miss weight by some incredible margin? Like, I mean, over 10 pounds. I can't remember who that was. And Lopez happened to be on the undercard. He stepped up to fight Valdez and gave a good account of himself. So, should be an interesting little scrap that. You know, Lopez has 4 losses. How has he looked in his last few fights? I mean, he's coming off the back of a loss to Abraham Nova, who was actually beaten as well by that fella, Mauricio Ramirez. I think they're lost at Dog Bay. Stopped in 7 by Oscar Valdez. I'm pretty sure that was on the same card where Valdez meant to fight some other guy, but he missed weight by a crazy amount. Nakatani versus Andrew Maloney should be an interesting fight. Nakatani. Oh no, that's a different Nakatani. Yonito Nakatani. I just assumed when I saw Nakatani, I mean, getting the names all mixed up here, that was the Nakatani who fought Lomachenko, but it's not. Andrew Maloney's a good fighter, but Nakatani, is this the flyweight? No, this Nakatani. You see, there's a couple of them with the same. This is the guy, I watched him several times back when he was down at flyweight. He would have absolutely, there was talk of Sonny Edwards and him. I think it was only just talk. But I remember watching him on the undercard. I think this was Ryata Yumashi. I think that was on the undercard of Triple G versus Murata. And I was mighty impressed. I thought he would have absolutely ironed Sonny Edwards out if they ever did fight. So that's going to be a good fight. Maloney, though, is good. But, yeah, Yonito Nakatani is... He's some special. He's special. What was the name of the guy of the Nakatani Loma fought? Ah, yes. I see he has a very interesting first name, which I'm not going to upset people because some people get triggered when I get the names wrong. But as you could tell when I go in, I was like, oh, that's his name. Right, we will try and avoid butchering that. So that's the card for Lomachenko versus Devin Haney. In terms of some of the other stuff Bob Arum has been talking about, he says here that he actually doesn't expect Tyson Fury to fight this summer. He now believes he'll wait for a potential undisputed fight for Lomachenko, or with Alexander Usyk for huge money in Saudi Arabia in December. So that's interesting. So that is a worry because Fury, obviously they tried to get the Alexander Usyk fight over the line at the very start of last year, 2022. Fury stated that he wanted the tune-up fight, which he interpreted to be Dylan White, so that was fine. If he doesn't fight until December, then that's a year out of the ring. Now, he wanted a tune-up fight last year. Would he not want another tune-up fight this year? Could him not fighting in the summer, even if it is against none of a Luis Ortiz, someone lower level, if he doesn't get some ring time, could that mean then that he'll want it in December and then it could push this fight back further? So for me, as long as we get this fight in December, I really didn't care if Usyk and Fury. Obviously, I wanted to see the fight sooner, but if they were going to fight, then so be it in the summer. But if he's not going to fight in the summer now, which is what Bob Arum is hinting at here, would that mean potentially that he might turn around and say, well, I'm out of the ring a year now, I want to have an interim fight for big money in December? I hope not. I hope that maybe even, look, if they want to play devil's advocate, they might even just say, well, Alexander Usyk, you can't fight until December as well. Maybe the Saudis would say that, I don't know. But I really hope that that doesn't scamper the undisputed fight. If he fights Usyk in December, if Usyk has an interim fight in the summer, whether it be against Daniel Dubois or someone else, who knows, let it happen so long as we get this fight. In terms of Fury, obviously the two names we were hearing about were Zhilei Zhang and Andy Ruiz. Obviously, I would have thought the Zhilei Zhang fight would have made a bit more sense because obviously he's just coming off the win over Joe Joyce. It obviously means that opens the door for a Zhang-Joyce rematch, which is really the only fight Joe Joyce can take now at the minute, to be honest with you, because who is he going to fight? That's going to really... Who is he really? I mean, he's 37 years old now. He's got to try and avenge that loss. I mean, he can't have looked any worse against Zhang if he tried. So even a 1% improvement will still be a massive improvement based upon what we saw there a couple of weeks ago. So we'll probably get Joe Joyce versus Zhilei Zhang, but Fury potentially not fighting now until December. See, my worry there is that even if a big sack of money was chucked in front of him for Usyk, he might turn around and say, I want interim fight instead. You know, that's a bit of a worry there. But look, hopefully, I'm being glasses half full. Hopefully we will get it. In terms of some of the other things Arum was talking about, he plans to offer Devin Haney, because this is obviously Devin Haney's last fight with Top Rank on his current deal. He wants to extend Devin Haney's contract if he wins, and will potentially offer him the winner of Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor, assuming Haney moves up after Lomachenko. Would that be win or lose? I would imagine it would be. So Haney definitely has options, win or lose, if he's going to be fighting, or obviously if he loses to Vasyl Lomachenko, I should say. So that is the situation there. When I look through some of the other news that's going on here, obviously Josh Kelly, this is an interesting one, right? So Josh Kelly is going to face Gabriel Corazzo in a super welterweight clash on June 25th. That's going to be in Newcastle. That's okay. Now, it's saying here, fight is first of a new broadcast partnership with Wasserman Boxing and DAZN. I don't recall ever hearing them, maybe forgive my ignorance if they have, fair enough, but I don't recall Wasserman announcing that they'd have a broadcast deal with DAZN. I know Kelly Sauerland handles the Misfit shows. I know he does that, but I wasn't aware Wasserman Boxing, I should say, were partnered with DAZN. Does that mean, because it's a bit of a, look, don't get me wrong, like, it's more boxing on DAZN, fair enough, if you're paying your subscription, then you get more boxing, but I kind of like the Channel 5 shows, and it's a good way, like, look at the viewing figures these Channel 5 shows do. They do amazing viewing figures, and it's a great way, you know. I am someone who's very much a case, I'm old school in this way. I believe that buying some time on terrestrial TV is one of the best ways to get prospects' names out there, you know, because at the end of the day, right, if it's a Friday night, you're not going out, there's no football on, there's nothing else on, there you go, free boxing, people are going to watch it. You know, look at some of the viewing figures that Harlem Eubank does. You know, look at some of these, they're brilliant viewing figures, couple of mil, it's on free to air. You know, you can't really complain. It's a great way for people to see these guys. I was ringside at Harlem Eubank's last card in York Hall back in April, and it was a very, very fun card. You had that Matty Harris guy, there was a big knockout, I can't remember the guy's name, I think he was from Middlesbrough, and he knocked out some journeyman. It was a massive knockout. It was a great little show, it was a great card, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You had Ray Boom Boom Mancini was at it, Josh Kelly was at it, you had that other guy, what's his name, the BBC, Louis Theroux, he was at it. I thought it was brilliant, and it was on Channel 5. Obviously if it's going to DAZN, happy days, like, obviously it's more boxing, but I still maintain that buying up time on BBC, ITV, Channel 5, you know, even David Hay on Dave, they were doing good figures on there, you know, getting your name out on terrestrial TV. So is it just going to be for Josh Kelly, or is it going to be across the board, you know, for all of Wasserman's fights are going to be now on DAZN? Wait and see. I like the Channel 5 shows. I do. I like the terrestrial TV stuff. You know, you go back to the 90s, Ben McClellan, an absolutely insane amount of views. Millions and millions watched that on ITV. Imagine a fight that magnitude being shown on free to air TV. Absolutely crazy. Brilliant, but just imagine they wouldn't do it today. Never. The WBO have actually stated that they will order Jamal Charlo to defend his undisputed 154-pound title against Tim Tszyu next by September 30th, your boy's birthday, at the latest, provided Tim Tszyu beats Carlos Campo on June 18th. Staying busy. It'll be a while. It'll be over a year since Charlo will have been out of the ring. He was recovering from a hand injury. Found enough time to call Canelo out, but he has Tim Tszyu to worry about, and Tim Tszyu is staying busy and he's staying active and he's fighting good guys. The WBC president, this swine, Sullivan, has reiterated that the WBC will ban Russian fighters, so they would not sanction Dmitry Bivol versus Canelo Alvarez 2 for the super middleweight world title. Bivol would have to go through the WBC's process for an exemption. I mean, what the hell is that? Like, an exemption? This is ridiculous. Absolutely despicable by Mauricio Sullivan to do this. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And this is a guy, right? You know, he loves a good virtue signal, doesn't he? He loves it. And I've always said it. I despise these virtue signalers. I really do, because they don't mean an ounce of it. They don't care. You know, they really don't. He doesn't give a damn about anything he preaches, right? He just does it just to superficial, oh, look at me, I'm a good person. He doesn't care, you know? And at the end of the day, right, I'm not going to go into depth about the whole Russia, that country thing. I know enough about it. I know the stuff surrounding it. I know the reasons why it's happening. I know the NATO stuff. I'm not going to go into it, right? But what he's essentially doing, right, is that he is saying to Dmitry Bivol and any fighter from Russia is that you're responsible for your government's actions, where he might not even agree with what the government are doing. He might not even have any affiliation with the government. I mean, it would be like saying the Irish government have done something, I don't know what they've done, but just say they've done something bad. So you, G-Man, you can no longer make YouTube videos, despite the fact I despise the Irish government. I despise all the Irish parties. I've never voted and I never will. I despise Varadkar, Martin and McDonnell. I don't like any of them. They're all cretins as far as I'm concerned. But that would be like saying, you know, you can't do this because you're Irish and your government did this. And it's like, I despise the Irish government. I cannot explain how much I despise them. They're cretins, a lot of them. And yet they would turn around and say, oh, you can't do this because Ireland is. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. And so they're stopping a potential 2 undisputed fights potentially now. One at light heavyweight and one at super middleweight. Absolutely crazy. For what? I mean, you're going to let Conor Benn fail 2 tests and you're just going to say, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. What's preaching? We have the clean boxing program. Yeah, but as soon as, you know, someone you know or you like fails, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing to see here. No. Absolute joke. Absolute nonsense from Mauricio Sullivan. Whether it's at 168 or 175, you know, I think Bivol is better. He's proved that. But Bivol wants undisputed. He is a guy who was seeking legacy. He's seeking legacy at 175 and 168. He wants undisputed either or. And the fact of the matter is he can't have it. Not because the fighters are ducking him. No. It's because a sanctioning body take exception to where he's from. And now they won't sanction his fights. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just, I don't agree with it. As you can tell, I really don't agree with it. I think it's absolutely stupid. I think it's just pathetic virtue signaling. That's all it is. Just absolutely pathetic from Mauricio Sullivan. Now, Francis Ngannou has made it clear that he now intends to have a tune-up fight in boxing before potentially having a showdown with Fury, Wilder and Joshua. This comes after he announced he is moving to PFL, which is a MMA strategic partnership, whatever that is, on the zone. He'll make his pay-per-view debut with them mid-2024. Have they done any shows yet, PFL? Because I think isn't Jake Paul in with them, or is he working with them? And they're going to be a bit of a rival, apparently, to Dana White and UFC. We shall see. You know, Dana White teased with the idea of going at the boxing several years ago, many years ago now, actually. It's never gone anywhere. I think he even talked to Mikey Garcia and people like that. Now, this is an interesting one here. I talked about this in a separate video earlier, yesterday actually, I should say. Daniel Dubois has now reportedly split with his trainer, Shane Mcguigan. And it's reported now that he's linked up with Don Charles, potentially ahead of his fight with Alexander Usyk. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Shout out to Karma. Shout out to Karma. We all love Karma. She's amazing. She actually said that she thinks the reason why some of these fighters are leaving Shane Mcguigan is down to his personality. And that's a very good point. Look, I rate Shane Mcguigan as a trainer. I certainly do. But he certainly, if you look through Shane McGuigan's track record of fighters who've left them, they've not said flattering things about him as a character. Sonny Edwards, you know, and Sonny Edwards is a very divisive character. I think that's fair to say. He definitely rubs people up the wrong way. But he was none too complimentary of Shane McGuigan. Carl Frampton, we obviously know, he was none too complimentary of Shane McGuigan. I think there have been others out there as well who have not spoke the highest of McGuigan, and it's something that I overlooked really. Dubois though strikes me as someone who is just so in his shell. Would he really clash with someone like McGuigan? I mean, maybe. I look, you don't know. Someone could you could be the most laid back individual there is. You could be someone who, if they were any more laid back, they'd be dead. But if someone rubs you up the wrong way, you know, they just know the buttons to press. Maybe it's McGuigan. I don't know. I'm just surmising here now. But to leave him and go for someone like Don Charles, it's a head scratcher for me. I mean, maybe Dubois doesn't want to leave London, which is potentially the reason. Because if you think about it like this, when he left Martin Bowers, who was his original trainer, who was still his manager, I believe, he went to Essex. All right, Essex is not a million miles away from London, I'm pretty sure Essex is where Mark Tibbs has his gym, unless it maybe is in London, but I'm pretty sure it's in Essex, which is, again, not a million miles away from London. You know, it's a train ride from London to Essex. It's not far. I've never been to Essex myself, but I know it's not far. And then, you know, you're talking about Shane McGuigan, who I believe his gym is, I actually don't know whereabouts in London it is, but God almighty, it's in London, I know that. And now he's with Don Charles, who again is another London-based trainer. If this doesn't work, he may as well go Tunde Ajayi, because he's got a gym based in London as well. Seems like he's unwilling to step out of his comfort zone and go. And I think, I've said it once, I'll say it again. You know, I said this about Dubois a long time ago. It would be best for him to get away from all the people around him, get out of his comfort zone, Go up and train with someone like a Ben Davison. Go up to Sheffield and train with someone like a Grant Smith or someone like that. Get out of your comfort zone and branch out. Don't be just... Dubois is a very interesting character. He really is. I really don't know what to make of him, really. He's such a very shy, timid character. He's just almost childlike in a way. He's so timid and shy. It's really strange, and I wonder a lot. But I wonder if, I've always said like that, if maybe he could get out of London or go with a trainer, someone like a Ben Davis, and when he had guys like Josh Taylor, Lee Wood and stuff like that all around, bit of banter with these guys, and just out of your comfort zone, away from it all, it might do him the world of good, you know? And I was just like, that's what I'm wondering. Like, he's just sticking around London with these guys the whole time. And Don Charles, I've never rated him as a trainer, so why he is choosing him, again, is beyond me. And to compound that, the WBA have stated that if Dubois is unavailable to fight, that they'll give it to Deontay Wilder, which for me is a complete joke, because Wilder, again, he's fought one round in 2 years nearly, and that was against Robert Helenius. It's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I really, really don't know. Now, Eddie Hearn, obviously, he's in Ireland for the Katie Taylor card this weekend. Looks good. I've seen the public workout is in Dundrum, which is in the south side. Dundrum is near Bray. Dundrum is about 15-20 minutes outside Bray, where Katie Taylor's from. Bray is on the Wicklow-Dublin border. It's a very nice place, actually. And most of Katie Taylor, she's going to be, like, I'm obviously from the north of Dublin. Katie Taylor is from officially Wicklow, but Bray is basically Dublin. She's from the south side, so it'll be a lot more of the car going on down there. I'm not going to any of the events myself. I have my reasons, but it looks good. It looks good to have an event like that over here. I'm glad that it's getting some eyes on Dublin. I'm glad that people are tuning in. It's adding something, you know. In boxing in Ireland, it needs it. You know, we need to get people interested in the sport here. And you know, I can't help but think that this is going to be a good event. You know, it's going to be good. It's going to get eyes on it. The Irish fans, they'll turn out in force, as you know. They're great fans. They're funny. They'll be singing the Fields of Athenry probably on Saturday night. And I just hope that the event goes off without a hitch. I really do. In terms of the fight, it's going to be interesting. Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron. I would say if you're Chantel Cameron, you are going to struggle to get it. You're going to want to have to pretty much stop Katie Taylor in order to get a decision, because it could be very difficult. Because I look, boxing, right? It happens in every country. I've seen some bizarre decisions in my time. It's very seldom you get 3 judges in Ireland, because most of the fights in Ireland, when they have cards on, are low level. You know, like the small hall shows in the UK where the referee scores. But occasionally you do get the odd title fight in Ireland. You know, an Irish title, or I'd even think an Irish title is scored by the referee, but you occasionally get a WBA international title being defended here, in which case they get judges in. And believe me, I've seen some absolutely bizarre scorecards come out over here for the Irish fighter, of course. So it happens everywhere. In terms of some of the things Eddie Hearn has been saying, he's been saying that they are hoping to receive an offer from the Saudis this week for Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. He's also said that there is a possibility that Joshua will fight again this year before the Wilder fight. Says he wants to make the Dillian Whyte rematch regardless whether or not the Joshua Wilder fight is finalised for August. And, you know, again, for me, the thing that they were saying was that Joshua may not fight until December because they don't want to take not Eddie Hearn, but the Saudis don't want to take a risk and risk Joshua losing and risk this fight not happening. But when the name is being thrown around, that's Dillian Whyte. Look, I like Dillian Whyte. He's a good fighter. But right now, he is there for the taking for anyone. And I don't see that fight being particularly risky for Joshua at this point in Dillian Whyte's career. I really don't. I see Dillian Whyte as being there for the taking. You know, I've said this and I'll say it again. For me, if I was Bob Arum, and I believe he has a lot of faith in Jared Big Baby Anderson, I really do. And rightfully so. Anderson is a tremendous fighter. I would be getting the checkbook out and saying, I am going to take a loss on this show. I'm aware. But I've so much faith in Anderson being a star and ascending to the heights that I'm going to make a lot more money on him in the future. I'm going to take a loss on this show, get Dillian Whyte over here. Baby Anderson will run through him like a knife through hot butter, And there's a big name, big marquee win for Baby Anderson. He can build on it from there. That's what I'd be doing if I was Bob Arum. So if you're thinking about Jared Anderson and you're going to be... Well, if I'm thinking Anderson's going to do that to Dylan White, Joshua, who is much further on in his career, yeah, he's still got loads left in the tank. He's beating the crap out of Dylan White. I would be putting him in. If I was Eddie Hearn, I'd be saying, yep, let's put him in. To hell what the Saudis say. There's always a risk. There's always a risk. But it's a risk worth taking. Joshua, if there is a risk, it's got to be less than 10%. And I think that's a safe enough bet for Joshua to go in there with Dylan White. I do. I think that's a fairly safe bet, if you ask me. So, Ohara Davis has been talking about his fight with Rolly Romero. He's been saying he ain't going to take no step-aside money. He ain't going to take any step-aside money. So, Ohara Davis, lads, going to be a world champion before the end of the year. Because if he fights Rolly, me and Dell, and we all know Dell, blue collar, shout out to Dell. Dell and myself were discussing, well, I was texting, but we were talking on his stream last night. And Dell actually said in his post-fight that he feels that in the last, say, 15 years or so, that Rolly may be the worst champion of them all. And I was saying, probably is worse than Charles Martin, truth be told. Indongo was a name I threw out there, and to be fair, Indongo has better wins. He beat Ricky Burns, and I was racking my brain trying to think of who is a worse champion over the last 10, 15 years than Rolly, and I can't think of it. He really is that poor. He really, truly is. I mean, Ishmael Barroso, Jesus, people, this is a guy who got stopped by Anthony Crolla years ago. He looks about 50, and he was lighting Rolly up. Ohara Davis is going to be a world champion, lads. He is actually going to be a world champion if he gets this fight next. If he doesn't, then they offer him a crazy amount of step-aside money and put him in with Tank or Ryan. Okay, they're a different story. But if they go ahead and put him in with Tank Davis or with Rolly Romero next, Ohara Davis is going to be world champion, lads. Calling it here. Ohara Davis to be world champion. I'm calling it. Now, the last thing, I don't like leaving on a bad note, but Mikael Lawrence versus Isaac Chamberlain is reportedly postponed due to medical reasons. I hope that both guys are okay. I don't know who was pulled out. Lala has pulled out for medical reasons. Okay, I hope he's okay. So that's a bit of bad. I'll leave it on that bit of a bad note, but that's the only news I can see. So I'll leave it there, people. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you can. Hit subscribe, of course. If you haven't already, for now, lads and lassies, I'll leave you with that.